G'day, my name is David Jones, and in this video I'm going to introduce you to Canvas Collections, and in particular help you answer the questions why, what and how. This is the Canvas Collections homepage. If you have more questions, want to find out more about Canvas Collections, this is the place to come to. The URL will be in the description. So let's start with why would you want to use Canvas Collections. Canvas Collections, as the name suggests, works with the Canvas Learning Management System, and it is used to modify the Canvas modules page to address some limitations, and they're briefly mentioned here. Why would you want to use it more broadly? Well, there's a whole bunch of research that describes the benefits of improvements in terms of findability, in terms of student self-efficacy, motivation, and retention, and a whole range of other things. So let's just demonstrate that why just a little bit. So what does it actually do? So this is the Canvas modules page. This is the vanilla Canvas modules page without collections running. As a student here, I can see 11 modules. Modules are Canvas's way of organizing learning activities and content. So each module here has grouped together a series of items. And for the student to navigate and find what they're looking for, they need to know where in this long scrolling list of fairly consistent vanilla types things the activity or the piece of content they're interested in is, and then find it. So to help with that, Canvas provides a collapse function so you can just see the modules, but it's still fairly bereft of contextual information and a range of other limitations. For example, this particular course is designed explicitly with 3 driving questions and has another important design feature, but there is no way in a Canvas modules page to clearly describe and demonstrate visually to the learner that what those 3 driving questions are. There is some work that's been done on this particular site to help with that, but it's still somewhat difficult. Canvas Collections helps with that. So let's just, as a good example, we'll leave Student View. And now, as a staff member editing this page, Canvas Collections is installed and it is working. So Canvas Collections is code that sits there and it modifies the modules page. And this is an example of one configuration of Canvas modules for this particular course. Now what Collections does is it helps divide the modules up into different collections. Now in this case we've got 4 collections: why, what, how, questions and suggestions. As you can see, that this particular course is set up to explain Canvas Collections, why use it, what does it do, and how. As well as organizing modules into collections, Collections also provides different ways to represent those particular modules. So I can navigate between modules: why, what, how, questions and suggestions. And when I'm in a particular collection and what, each of these cards here represents a particular module. So if I want to go and visit one here, I click Engage, and that drops me down and opens up that particular module that is associated with that representation. So that's briefly what Collections does. It modifies the modules page. It then provides you with a series of collections that you can organize modules into. Then it provides a range of different ways in which you can represent those modules, so making it easier for the student to navigate around and find those modules. So that's the why, the what. How do we go about doing it? How does it actually work? There are 2 ways you can install Collections. One is individually, and that's as a user script, so that means, and that's what I'm doing here, when it's installed individually, I'm the only one that can see this. Any students coming along won't be able to see this because they won't have it installed locally. The other more useful way is to install it as an institution. The Canvas documentation site goes into that in more detail. So assuming you've got Collections installed, when you visit the modules page, you'll see the Collections element up in the top left-hand corner, right-hand corner next to Student View. And this shows you, as a teacher or a designer who's got edit mode, that Collections is active, but it also gives you the way that you can edit and modify Collections. So let's actually do a little bit of modification here. So I can turn Edit on. And with Edit on, I get a whole range of extra information here. I can see some pop-up help here. But if I open this little thing, this allows me to configure the collections that I've got. So I've got my 4 collections here. We've got why, what, how, and the questions and suggestions. You can see questions and suggestions doesn't have any modules in it. How has 5, what is 4, and why is 3. For each of those existing collections, we've got a range of information here. We can modify the name, the representation. So we've got the what collection there behind. Representations are the ways in which collections allows you to visualize the modules for a collection. So currently that's set up for cards. I can change that to the assessment table. And so representations can be changed at any time and none of the information is lost. So there's that same set collection of modules represented with an assessment table representation rather than Griffith cards. Currently there are only 3 representations. I've got collections only, which just shows you the collection. It doesn't show any additional representation for the modules. But I can change that back at any time. And we've got that there. Now with the last collection, questions and suggestions, there are no modules allocated here. Instead, what that particular collection is being used for is to include a Canvas page. That Canvas page has that Padlet that's there. And as an include page, that gets added in here before the representation so that we can actually see this Padlet that's embedded in that Canvas page. And so the user is able to interact, the student can engage with questions and suggestions. We can add that to any page we want. So if I go back to why, and I come in here and I want to add in suggestions here. We now have that suggestions include page appearing there. We probably don't want to have that. So that's how we edit collections as overall. If we want to change a representation for a particular module, so for example, if we wanted to change this iframe, this embedded video here, to a different image, we come down and we find the module for reason 2. And each of the modules, when we're in edit mode, has an extra editing dialog there for collections. And here we can change a range of information about it. So let's say, what is the card face? And we can type in hello world. And what I've just typed in there appears here. So let me just remove hello world from there. There's a range of different things we can change here, but on the banner, currently we set up to be an iframe. Let's change that back to an image, which is just a URL into the files area for this course. And now we've got an image there rather than a video. In terms of visibility, we can configure how that's working. At the moment, only teachers in this course are able to see it, but let's allow everybody to see it. Turn edit mode off. We'll go back to student view. And so now the students are able to see collections, and that in theory gives them a much better view of this course and the ability to navigate around the modules page.